Chapter 10. A Night Outside the Castle. I wanted Duke Michael to think that I was still very ill. So we told the newspapers that the king had had a very serious accident. When Princess Flavia read this, she was very worried, and she decided to come and see me. The marshal could not stop her, and although I was afraid for her, I was excited at the thought of seeing her again. We spent 2 wonderfully happy days together. We had sent Johann back to the castle of Zenda, and suddenly we had a message from him. The real king was very ill. I must save him, I said to myself. I love Flavia more each day. I can't go on like this much longer. I talked to Sapt. He agreed, so we made our plans. Late the next night, Sapt, Fritz, and I, with 6 more men, rode out towards the castle of Zenda. Sapt was carrying a long rope, and I had a short, thick stick and a long knife. The night was dark, and it was wet and windy. We stayed away from the town, and we met no one. When we came to the moat, we stopped near some trees, and the 6 men hid there with the horses. Then Sapt tied the rope round one of the trees near the water. I pulled off my boots, put the stick between my teeth, and gently went down the rope into the water. I was going to take a look at the pipe. It had been warm and bright that day, and the water was not cold. Slowly and carefully, I swam round the dark walls of the castle. There were lights in the new buildings, and from time to time I heard people shouting and laughing. That must be young Rupert and his friends, I thought. Suddenly, a dark shape appeared in front of me. It was the pipe. The bottom of it was very wide and came out into the moat. And then I saw something which nearly made my heart stop. It was a boat, and in the boat there was a man. His gun was beside him, but luckily he was asleep. As quietly as I could, I moved closer. The man still slept. What could I do? I had to save the king. I took out my knife and drove it through the sleeping man's heart. On the other side of the castle, they were still singing. I had very little time. Someone could come at any minute. I looked up at where the pipe went through the wall into the prison. There was a thin line of light at the bottom edge. I heard Detchard's voice, and then I heard the king reply. Just then, the light went out, and in the darkness, I heard the king crying. I did not call to him. I had to get away safely and take the body of the dead watchman with me. I climbed into the boat and began to go back to where my friends were. No one could hear me because the wind was strong. But from somewhere behind me, I heard a shout. Someone was calling to the watchman. I reached the side of the moat where Sapt and Fritz were waiting. Quickly, I tied the rope round the man's body, and Sapt and Fritz pulled it up. Then I climbed up the rope myself. "Call our men from the trees," I said quietly, "and hurry." But just then, 3 men rode round from the front of the castle. Luckily, they did not see us, but they heard our 6 friends riding out of the trees, and with a shout they galloped towards them. Seconds later, we heard the sound of shots, and I ran to help our men. Sapt and Fritz followed. "Kill them!" cried a voice. It was Rupert of Hentzau. "Too late! They've got both of us!" cried another voice. "Save yourself, Rupert!" I ran on, holding my stick in my hand. Suddenly, through the darkness, I saw a horse coming towards me. I jumped at the horse's head and saw the man's face above me. "At last!" I shouted. "Rupert of Hentzau!" He had only his sword, and my men were coming at him from one side, and Sapt and Fritz from the other. Rupert laughed. "Ha! It's the play actor!" he cried, and with his sword he knocked my stick from my hand. Then he turned his horse, galloped to the moat, and jumped into the water with our bullets flying round his ears. Our men tried to shoot him in the water, but it was dark, there was no moon, and we lost him. We had killed 2 of the 6, Lauengram and Krafstein, but I was angry. 3 of our brave friends were also dead, and we carried them home with a heavy heart. And I did not like to hear Rupert call me a play actor. Of course, Michael and I could not let the people know that we were enemies. So in the daytime, it was safe to be in the town of Zenda. One day, soon after our night outside the castle, Princess Flavia and I were riding through the town when we saw a group of people dressed in black going to the church. Rupert of Hentzau was with them, and when he saw us, he turned his horse and came towards us. "It's the funeral of my dear friend, Lauengram," he said, in answer to our question. "I'm sorry your friend is dead," I said to him. "And I'm sorry too," Flavia added, her beautiful blue eyes sad. Rupert looked at her and smiled. Then he turned and rode away. Although I was angry because he had smiled at Flavia, I went after him. "You fought bravely the other night," I said, "and you're young. Help me save the king, and I'll help you." But Rupert was not interested. "No," he answered. "But if they were both dead, the king and the duke, then you could be king and marry your princess, and I could be rich and have the woman I want." "Antoinette de Maubin?" I asked carelessly, trying not to show my interest. "Yes," replied Rupert. "I hate the Duke. She loves him, not me." Angrily, he joined the funeral group again. Strangely, when we returned home, there was a message for me from Antoinette herself. "I helped you once. Help me now. Save me from this terrible place. Save me from these murderers." I was sorry for her, but what could I do?